Hi, I'm Anthony Originello, CEO of the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources for BC and Yukon. We represent more than 8,000 members, and as the organization dedicated to advancing the HR profession through education, advocacy, awareness, professional development, as well as our recognized and impactful CPHR designation, we are proud to be a sponsor of this show. We have been the voice of the HR profession since 1942. Learn more about us at cphrbc.ca.
In this episode of Careers That Matter, I'm joined by Iain Black, a candidate for the leadership of the Conservative Party of BC. Iain, welcome.
Thanks for having me here.
So it's an interesting job you have right at the moment. New job title, candidate.
That's right.
But to be a candidate, you have to be the CEO of a team that's going to help you get there. So what does your job as candidate look like?
It's actually a leap of faith, to be honest. I mean, I'm used to being president and CEO of companies, right? And when you're the president and CEO, you have a very well-defined span of control. You have ultimate accountability. There's nobody to blame if it goes wrong. And your job, if it goes right, is to make sure everyone else shares in that, because you don't get there on your own, ever, right? In this job, I have to put an enormous amount of trust and confidence in the remarkable group of men and women who are almost all volunteering to try to achieve the vision that we all share of trying to make British Columbia better. That means my job in many ways is to do as I'm told, which is a bit of a leap of faith for a guy like me, because I'm a type A personality, kind of high achieving lad. But you have to trust people that they can put that extra time into thinking things through on a daily basis that I just don't have time for. Align on values, align on our mission, and go at it together. But you gotta trust them.
So you have a for hire or hired team plus volunteers. What's the ratio to those people who are paid to be working on your campaign versus
99% volunteer?
Wow.
Oh yeah, there's not enough money in the system, both in terms of how we are allowed to raise money in politics in British Columbia, but also the practical skill sets of these people. They are high functioning, highly employable. Many of them own their own companies and businesses, and they can't sit around between elections and leadership contests, which can be a decade apart, and just kind of wait for the next one. So these are highly engaged, competent individuals, some of whom take a leave of absence from their jobs, some of whom, if they're running their own companies, can put it aside a wee bit or have some of their teams mind the shop, if you will. And I'm very, very grateful in every case.
So what's an average day as a candidate for leadership look like?
It's like grabbing onto the door of a speeding car. We're up around 5, in bed around 11 or midnight. It's 7 days a week. I carve out little times in the calendar. You can hear it in my voice, by the way. This is my early morning voice that still sounds like this at 11 o'clock at night these days. But we're every day there's a briefing. Every day we focus on the tour, we focus on the comms and where the issues are that we wish to address. We've got a deep background in policy. We've got great ideas to share with the people of British Columbia. So we think about, when do we announce those? Obviously, it's a contest within the family. So we like to get a sense of how we're doing. I'm lucky. I really like the people that are in this I'm actually friends with most of them, which makes it a little bit strange. But the difficulty is carving out a little bit of time for yourself, so you don't burn out. I mean, it is 7 days a week. So we put aside, Sunday mornings where my wife and my daughter and I will have coffee on Sunday mornings, and so we try to keep that one separate. And then Tuesday nights, which is date night, if I can pull it off. And we're not bad so far, about 2 out of 3. We're not getting them all, but I carve out those 2 pockets of time, or else it won't happen.
So how much of your time is campaigning versus policy development? And you got to be chief fundraiser at like the other part of your job. So how do you separate that out?
Well, we're fairly new into the contest, right? Into the contest. So for the benefit of your viewers, we're about 14-week contest, give or take. This is week 3 or 4. Like, we still got the bulk of the contest is still in front of us. So the rhythm's starting to develop. It'll be different 3 weeks from now than it is today, as we get our kind of system running nice and smoothly and whatnot. We're blessed with a tremendous number of people. Like, we made a lot of phone calls in December once we realized that we were serious about this, and we gathered that core team. We're about 300 phone calls into it before New Year's Day. That has made a big difference. People bought into our vision and the idea that I'm the best opportunity to beat David Eby or whoever they put up in the next election. So that has been encouraging. I feed off that energy. But the days are all a little bit different. We are touring all over the province. I'm typically on the road for 5 days, home for 2 or 3, on the road for 5 days for the next 12 weeks. So that dictates the answer to your question, which is on which days do we pause and say, okay, where are we at connecting with people who've got the financial resources to help run the campaign? Where are we at on the policy, more positioning development? I mean, we've got more policy ideas than we have time to talk about. We've got about 9 pages, single space, of things that we really think will make British Columbia better. And we've got to group them and prioritize the ones that we believe best represent who I am and the values that I have. Because we're big believers in kind of that value statement, which leads to principles and what we would do once we win. So every day looks a wee bit different, but there's a rhythm starting to develop, so it's kind of fun.
Big part of the job is memberships.
That's the only part of the job.
But in all ridings throughout the province.
Yeah.
So how do you get the team out there to do that, to bring in those memberships that you need?
Well, again, I'm blessed with a great starting point. I do have a team throughout the province in every region, and you're 100% correct. This is a contest that is 93 ridings, and every riding is worth 100 points. And so we can sell thousands of memberships in a riding in Vancouver, or we could sell 100 memberships in a riding outside of Vancouver, and they're actually probably worth the same number of points at the end of the day. So people who are paying a lot more attention to this on my team than I am personally are tracking that, and it's every campaign will be doing the same thing. But we're blessed with that connection throughout the province to start with, and because I spent a lot of my career traveling the province. I mean, we started this adventure at the Natural Resources Forum in Prince George in January, and I mean I've been on that stage several times, and so I know it well. I know the forum well. I have a lot of friends in Prince George and points north, and so in that few days, as an example, we had requests for meetings from people from Fort St. John and Dawson Creek and Pooskoopie and Kitimat and Terrace, and we had just a terrific series of meetings that really, you get energy from that, and you get confidence that you're on the right track, that the priorities that you've got are being shared by the people in our northern communities where those natural resources, sub-economies are so important to driving what we do in the Lower Mainland.
So let's go back to you graduate from high school in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Did you go, yeah, I can see what I want to do in the future. I want to run to be the leader of the Conservative Party of British Columbia and become premier? Is that your dream when you exited high school?
It goes back for earlier than that. First time I ran for office, I was in grade 5. I won, by the way. And then I was that student government kid. I ran in grade 9, I ran in grade 12, I ran and became the president of my student union and my faculty at the University of Manitoba. I always I wasn't part of the young conservatives or the young liberals or the young NDP. That wasn't my crowd. I wanted to focus on the student government of actually doing something within whatever it was, the high school or university at the time. And I didn't expect that question. But I'll tell you that it's an honest truth. My wife and I were university sweethearts, and we'd been dating for maybe 3 months. We started dating at 19, and we'd been dating for about 3 months. And we were out for a movie one night. We came back. We're sitting in her mom's place, and I turned to her. I said, this is going great. I'm not presupposing anything here. I said, but if by some chance this becomes something resembling permanent, you should know that there's a very good chance I will go into politics one day. And she looked at me and she said, well, if that's the conversation we're having, there's something you should know. I said, all right. This afternoon, a girlfriend and I bought 2 tickets to Australia. I'm gone for a year, and I hope you're here when I get back. True story. And therein lies the basis of a wonderful marriage, because that was true. So I knew very early that this was part of a calling for me. And much as I love running companies and I love the economic benefits that come from it, I passionately believe in public service, and that you need thoughtful and smart and committed people who care, who are willing to apply something that they know to try to make the joint better. And it's really rewarding when it's done well.
What did you study at university?
Business. University of Manitoba, it's now called the Asper School of Business. I did an honors degree in marketing and management information systems, and so I kind of combined that passion, and I went into sales with IBM. I joined IBM in Winnipeg.
So you're exiting university near the end of the 80s. The internet is just coming along. That's and right. You walked into a technology revolution.
It was quite something. Well, there was a formative step there in that when I joined IBM as a salesman, I never knew the old IBM. I never knew that fat cat, very arrogant company of the 60s, 70s, and even 80s. I joined IBM in the literally dying days of the 80s, December 1989. And 6 months later, IBM acknowledged to the rest of the world that they were in some very serious trouble. And so my introduction to business was mainly men, my father's age, walking out the door with a cardboard box in their hand and tears streaming down their face. It was a very sobering introduction. But in the almost 7 years I was there, I watched that company reinvent itself. It was the top corporate turnaround in history. A man named Lou Gerstner, first outside chairman that came into IBM, reinvented that company. And he wrote a book called You Can Teach the Elephant to Dance. Mm-hmm. And that was a formative experience that led me through the next 6 or 7 companies where I was president and CEO once I left IBM. Because my expertise was that very thing. It was stepping into highly dysfunctional situations and fixing them. The product strategy, the corporate strategy, the board, the team. And in every case, they were in great financial trouble. And my job was to fix them, make them profitable, and then move on and do it again. And that whole thing started with the internet business and a handoff from that wonderful starting point of working for IBM.
So in 2005, you were true to your word to your future wife and said, yep, I'm going into politics.
Yeah.
And you were successful.
I was.
And you had 3 different ministries.
I did.
That you led.
I did. Well, politics is a wonderful endeavor that involves equal parts humility and confidence, and it depends on the day which one wins. Getting into politics when I did was enormously humbling and quite frightening in many ways. We had a very young family. It was not at all a wise move at a personal level. I had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And it was, there, but for the grace of God, we're still here. It was quite an adventure, but I didn't really understand the nomination process. And I was lucky. I had people gather around me and said, you know what, we think you'd be good at this. And we'd like you to compete for the nomination of a seat that became available by an individual named Christy Clark, stepping out of government at that time. Before she came back, of course, and became our premier. And so these people came around me and they taught me how to win a nomination. And I didn't really understand the process back then. So I did win the nomination, and I won the election in 2005 and again in 2009 as part of Gordon Campbell's administration. And he took a risk on me. I was his youngest MLA and his youngest cabinet minister. A few of them teased me. They'd say, do you shave every day? It was kind of unkind, actually, but we had a lot of teasing. But Gordon Campbell took a risk on me, and he put me in the Treasury Board, and under then Finance Minister Carol Taylor. And for 3 years, I got to participate and lean into building what is now a $90 billion a year budget, to learn the mechanics of how that all works, and to see the difficult decisions around, is it a hospital at Fort St. John versus a new high school in Surrey versus a road improvement in Delta or something on Vancouver Island, right? So you watch the big kid decisions getting made in front of your eyes, and there's never an easy decision. 3 years after that, he appointed me to cabinet. And first of all, as Labor and Citizen Services Minister, and then after the election of 2009, the one I really enjoyed, which was Small Business Technology and Economic Development, or as I joked, it was everything the finance minister didn't want. They threw it into another ministry, and I loved that ministry. It involved the Asia-Pacific relationship and our critical trade relationship with Japan and South Korea and India and China, and the tech sector, which of course was my love. But the wonderfully humbling and the really inspiring part of it was really the small business side, which I wasn't sure I'd like, but I really loved it. And learning that 6 out of 10 jobs in BC comes from our small business community, highest in Canada. The average is just under 5. And they are the lifeblood of the economy in this province, downstream from some of the larger industries. But without them, we don't actually have a province with an economy. So it was a wonderful experience there.
You stepped out of government, though, and took over the role as the head of the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade. And you did so for 8 years.
Yeah.
It was quite an experience as well.
That was a fun gig. That was a really fun gig. And it was a wonderful, almost like a reward for my family.
Well, you took over at a time when the Board of Trade needed reorganization as well.
It was a turnaround. As I mentioned, I developed that expertise of transformative change. And I stepped into the Board of Trade, which was almost $2 million in debt. Cash debt. I don't mean book debt. They owed money to banks. And we had some very, very patient bankers. who let me get in there and kind of do what we do, which is restructure it, refocus it, rebuild the business model. And I put a 5-year plan in front of the board. I said, I will get you break even with the debt paid off within 5 years. And we managed to pull it off in 2. There was some good luck involved there, to be very clear, but I had a great board of directors. They let me do what I know how to do. And we worked really hard, and we had a lot of fun. Like that was a really, it was all the stuff that you get to do in politics without all the noise and detraction. Like I got to engage in public policy and building communities and engage internationally and provincially with all the different resource sectors. And it was a great job. It was a great little perch to understand how the province works.
So you get that turned around, but then you took on another assignment for a company that needed a turnaround.
That's true.
And you've done that, and now you've said, okay, I managed to do that. I think I want to take it on for the province.
Well, you know, I see right now, I mean, I'm drawn back into politics because I see 2 crossroads that I find very inspiring, and one of them inspiring, but not in the positive sense of that phrase. The first is my sense of desperate worry for where we're at as a province. And I look at that and I go, we should not be here. It doesn't need to be this way. With all of the wealth and the resources and the resilience of the people and the creativity of the people of this province, we are absolutely hitting the wall along every measurement that matters, and it doesn't need to be this way. The other one, ironically enough, is the state of the BC Conservative Party. Because that notion of stepping in and getting a team focused and motivated and lifting a group of people to achieve something together that they didn't think they could do as individuals, never mind collectively, that is what I love to do. And so some people have said to me, oh, well, gosh, you got a lot of work to do here. I'm going, I know, I can't wait. To me, that's an exciting element to this contest. Is I actually have spent 25 or 30 years learning how to do the kind of work that needs to be done to make that team battle ready and earn the confidence of the people of the province.
So final question here, and it's related around the fact that I want this series to be available to young people who are about to launch themselves into their careers. And when you're young, you don't really understand what are some of the personal attributes that you have that played an important role in your success. When you take a look at the success that you've had, there's something about you that you have discovered along the way that you go, yeah, that has been fundamental to me being able to move forward and achieve what I have in my career.
I think there's a few things. I think you have to learn. I spoke earlier about finding that balance between confidence and humility, right? In the early days, you're handicapped by that a little bit. You're worried that you should know everything, that you should be more confident than you are. And sometimes you might be overly confident, not realizing that you don't know everything yet. But be aware. My first thing I'd say is develop an awareness of that balance that's required, and get very comfortable not knowing everything, and that's okay. Trust your instincts is I've done this lecture a few times to university students, is trust your instincts. The biggest mistakes I've made in my career is when my instincts told me to do something and I didn't do it, or they told me not to do something and I did. That's how you learn. That's because every time you're wrong, you further hone your instincts, right? You have to learn to trust. You have to learn to trust and be prepared to be disappointed, that people will let you down. Business relationships will let you down. Some will do it maliciously, but very few. Very few. It's normally circumstance. But the last thing I'd say on that is figure out what your North Star is. What is it that defines your character? And sometimes that won't hit you until you wake up midway through your 30s and 40s, which for your younger viewers sounds really, really old. And when you're into your 50s, it sounds really young. But you'll wake up one day and go, I actually know what I stand for. Right? In my case, there's 3 very powerful words that I use. One is the word fit. When you're assessing whether we should work together, it's not about me being boss and you being employee. It's about are you going to get out of this experience what you need, and can I give you what you need as part of delivering what I need as your employer, right? And so it's a conversation of equals, even if it's a power disparity in terms of boss versus employee. The second one is the word fair. It's a very powerful word. It's a subjective word, but be driven by fair, not equal, but fair, and get comfortable with the responsibility of applying that judgment. And the third one is the word kindness. Kindness is a superpower. You can be tough, but you staying kind is a character trait that will serve you well, including with those who disagree with you. as time goes forward. I still get, I used to, when we give Christmas cards, I still get greetings on Facebook, and it used to be Christmas cards from a couple of people I fired 25 years ago. Because if you treat people with kindness and dignity as you go through those difficult decisions, those relationships last a long time and ultimately define your character and whatever legacy you may have, small as it may be, within the business community and your personal life.
Well, thank you for letting us look into your current job as leadership candidate and the arc of your career.
Appreciate the time. Thank you for your interest.